I'm on mute, isn't it? There we are.
Yes,
Good
yes.
evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. How are you guys doing? Everybody all right?
Yes,
Indeed.
yes, I'm doing well.
Yeah. Well, I am excited this evening. Once again, it's Wednesday, and we are going to hang out and sharpen one another once again, being stretched um, on our thinking, our perspectives, and so that we can go where we haven't been before. And this evening, I am so glad to announce to you that Mr. Clinton Richie, will be facilitating the session. And as you guys know, he usually have some great stuff when he take the floor. Um, man, this goes to another level. So,
Good.
sir, without any delay, let's go for it. Let's go for it. We got somebody there that is welcoming. Good evening, Three Musketeers. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure that's
Three
Mr.
Musketeers,
Rafi.
I love that one.
Yeah, good to have you, sir. Thank you so much for jumping on. Mr. Rishi, straight over to you, sir.
Lovely, lovely. Um, okay, I'm doing my best to hear you, but I think once you can hear me fine is good enough.
Yeah, we can hear you, sir. Go for it.
Good, 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 good. Well, it was interesting because for some time now, um, we've been thinking about approaches to take to bring some awesome conversations to the forefront. But guess what? We're staying in line with growth.
Mm.
Now we're going to go deep, but we're going to get as simple as we can. We're going to keep it simple, right? So I'm excited about it, not because I'm bringing it. That's the least of the excitement. Not really. Um, I think I'm excited because I get an opportunity to share the angle from which I'm bringing it from, and also some of things that I find that works very effective. And it's funny, they say it's the little things that count. And I would add a piece to that and say consistency with little steps can bring you fantastic results. Once you have been working towards a goal or a specific thing in mind. And the approaches to that, achieving that may change, but the end goal always remains the same. Um, so I'm going to start off by reminding us that um, when God created us, He was happy, still is happy when He was done, quite excited about it all. And He did it for a purpose, for a reason. So, however you might have arrived here, it is none of your business to worry about whether you have a purpose here, whether you are here by mistake. That does not exist. I want to dispel that completely at this particular moment. You are here for a purpose. Even if you are less able by your standards and the world standards, in God's eyes, you are still very able to do what He's brought you here to do. So I just want to put that out there to you. Okay. Now, as we go forward in this conversation, I'm just quickly laying the foundation because over the next couple of weeks, we definitely will be going a little deeper and a little deeper, but we will be keeping it very simple. Here's the deal. Let's don't complicate it about how can I find my purpose in life? What is my purpose in life? I don't feel like if I'm serving any purpose in this life. Oh, I don't feel like if I'm onto it like some of these other guys. Because number one, really living and enjoying life has nothing to do with your feelings. So you need to get out of the feelings. Okay. Because there's some stuff that I'm going to talk to you about that you will come to realize if you did worry with feelings, you will be absolutely nowhere. What I'm going to ask you to focus on is something very important. It is the most expensive currency in the world, and that is life. Super expensive. And it's completely misunderstood because life is real, and it has quite a few angles. It has the angle where you spend it that has the timeline attached to it, and it has the other angle where you've spent it, you experienced it, and you contributed to it, and it lives on. It never ends. So these are interesting things I'm laying here and I'm putting out there because the angle I want you to understand as a man in your household, married or not, I want you to understand that you don't need a laptop, you don't need an internet, you don't need £1 million in the account or a billion, you don't need to be a graduate, you don't need, you just need yourself. You need to be ready and willing to go forward, okay? And you need to be ready and willing to make a decision. That's it. Because it all will start with that. We covered some of these areas in previous conversations where we were talking about growth. We were talking about so many other things. But this particular one, we will talk about 7 principles of purpose. And I want us to direct us, mind you, a lot of my text is taken from Miles Monroe's book, Understanding the Purpose and Power. Understanding the Purpose and Power. And I think of men, and I think being taking it from Miles Monroe is purely because this guy taught a lot about kingdom power. He talked about kingdom life. He spoke about, and it was necessarily about you being a royal. It is more about the mental state, your mental approach. So let's jump straight into some stuff here. Proverbs 19:21. Many are the plans in man's heart, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails. If you're taking this from a Christian point of view, just remember, you get up with 1,000,001 plans, but please consult with the Holy Spirit. You will be surprised what happens. I'm throwing that out there. Let's cement. Um, let's begin to put some blocks on this foundation now. And let me ask you a question. I'm going to pause before I carry on. How are you using your life? So we're sitting here today, and you're in your feelings. You could feel despondent, you could feel underachieved, you could feel don't feel, but you're probably somewhere in your feelings. The question is, how are you spending your life? And asking you this particular question, I want to make you think. I don't want to make you feel sorry for yourself. I want you to think as to and understand your life is precious. You have something inside of you that everybody else needs. Sometimes you might think that, some people think, oh, I have a speech impediment. Oh, I can't put together words like you do. I can't curate like you do. I can't express myself like you do. But you just realize you list everything that you can't do. What can we start with what you can do? Well, I don't know. I can't. Jeez. Mate, I'm telling you, listen, I just don't feel like up to this, to be honest. Listen, I've checked on so many things to figure out what the purpose is. I don't even know what it is. You're asking me? Well, I'm asking you because it's your life. And only you will know you. So, where I would like you to start is let's flip the coin a little bit. And rather than looking at it as, Oh, you asked me this question. This is so big. No, let's just keep it very simple. Let's bring it back to home. Would you like to wake up tomorrow and just feel and smell as though there's a breath of fresh air in your step? You've got a bounce. You've got a you've got a lighter step. You somehow things have turned around. Do you want to experience that? Of course, duh. Come on, dude. What's up? Well, that's good. I want you to be in that position because you've just made your first decision. And then if I ask you, okay, how exciting would it be for you to be in a position where you can be the one that people give a shout out to when they need something? Uh, let's say you think your strong points is IT networking, or you think your strong point is repairing shoes. What I'm trying to say to you, start from somewhere. Your purpose may not be one specific thing. It may not come through one specific thing. Here's another angle I'm going to give you, another way of looking at it. So today you're sitting here, and some of us may be at an accomplished level of saying that I'm an IT consultant, I'm a professor, I'm a speaker. When you were 1 year old, were you a speaker? Were you an IT consultant? You couldn't even pronounce the word phone. Ask you to say phone, you probably pronounce the E and forget about the rest of it. Uh, but guess what? During that time, somebody asked you about purpose. You playing with the cars. Asked my son a year ago, he could list out all of the dinosaurs to you. Maybe speak to him in 5 years' time, he might be a coder. He might be a footballer. That does not mean that your purpose is not being fulfilled. You're getting there. I'm trying to say to you, get on the road. Yeah? You know when they say, let's get the show on the road? Get on the road. How do you end up with a movie? You go out there, the guy who does all the pieces and all of that, the producer, he sits with all of everybody. Everybody begin to do their pieces. He's happy with it. He signs off. Then he's got all the shots. And then the guys who are pulling the whole thing together, pull the scenes together and throwing all the other little bits. Guess what? They're all working to one purpose, this movie. But then you have all the other bits. So your life is literally like that. Now, hear how important it is. So this movie has come out finally, and it's gone out there and it's made box office hit 2,000,000,000 pounds. I just made up that one here. I don't even know if that exists. so, but guess what? That same 20 billion, they did it on purpose. They got up every time, specific with set plans, saying, look, we're going to go out there today and you're going to practice this and you're going to practice that and you're going to do that. And they got so many takes. They practice one point over and over until they get it right. Sometimes they had to change the person doing it. Yeah. Because then the actor says, you know what, for some reason, this person you brought in is not doing, so we got to get somebody else. Hold on. Let me bring it to your life. Clinton, how is this relevant to what you're talking to my life? I don't do movies. I don't care about production. To be honest, mate, what you saying? I'm saying take yourself, sit down, and start at the starting point. Let's move with a scenario where you don't have a job at the moment. Make a decision. Tell yourself, I'm going to go out there and do something. Let me look for something that I think I can do. And you begin to look. Yeah. Bearing in mind, 10 years ago, you had this thing deep inside of you that you are just going to inspire people by smiling and being there for them. and having a listening ear. Do you know that doing all the bits I've just mentioned to you, God will begin to allow you to be in certain situations, certain places at certain times where that's your purpose, that's what you do. But you got to show up, and you got to show up on purpose. So today might be looking for a job, tomorrow might be on the job, another day going to be on a job lunch. Another time, another time in your life might be doing some sort of a uh, you might be starting your own business. You might be giving a speech somewhere. You might be hanging out with some friends. So what am I trying to say to you here? I'm trying to say to you, guys, here's the deal with this. You gotta step out there. Growth, purpose, all of these things happen with intention and consistency. Okay? Last couple of weeks we spoke about authenticity. Don't worry about those fancy words yet. All I want you to do is get up. Tell yourself, I can do this. How are you going to do it? Don't worry about that yet. If you think that you have to go and look for a job, go and start looking. Talk to friends. Talk to your buddy. I'm looking for XYZ. You got LinkedIn? Go on LinkedIn. Change your status. Be bold about what you want to do and what you want to achieve. Open up about it. You begin to attract the right people to you. And that's the first step to you walking and doing life with purpose. Because in doing it, you find your purpose. But if you sit down, you don't find that purpose. So think carefully about how you are spending your life. I'm going to probably talk for another 10 minutes, and then I'll stop with some questions so we can talk about it. I want us to look at good versus best. So you cracked on and you you're looking for this job, and you are measuring so you know what you want, but you are now measuring the responsibilities to see if I can do this my good, or I can do my best on what I think I can. You don't want to go in with too much pressure. You're just looking for the most comfortable spot. Guess what? A lot of us get by in life, and I use the word get by just doing what is most comfortable. Choose the hard one. The hard one always, I have found, you never have to undo it again. You do it once. So if it's a matter of good versus best, do your best. Doing your best requires focus, requires you to go and choose the hard one. Yeah. Now, this means that it puts you in a position where you could become effective. Does that word effective smell like purpose somehow? Like purpose is lingering there. Well, you could only be effective when you're doing your best, because people can know. Yeah. I send Kendrick a paragraph and I say, mate, can you have a look at this? And in 2 seconds, Kendrick called me back and say, perfect. And you think, but if he applied his best to it, Kendrick comes back and says, mate, well done, awesome. But guess what? If you change this word, or maybe add this other bit to it, you find that it punches harder. It gets the message clear. That's him being effective right there. Yeah, and you will know. Anybody will see it. Yeah. So you definitely need to be able um, to give your best, make up your mind to do that. Again, get out of your feelings, because your feelings will tell you things like, you're sitting there on the first 2 days of your job and you're saying, they ain't gonna pay me after 5 o'clock, so I'm going home. But remember that how you should see a job is completely different to how majority of people may see it. You should see a job as a free place to grow yourself and see it as people paying you to grow you. If you see it that way, it would be very hard when the time comes for you to walk away for people to want you to go. And but you would have known when it's time to quit. You would have known when it's time to up your game. A job is not meant for you to stay there, stick there, and smell it and eat it and live with it. Remember, you go, you work somewhere to learn, to contribute also. You know, contribution is part of learning, but it's your growth. Because you're always seeking growth, wherever you go, it must add value to you because by default, you are adding value there. That's you being effective. That's you coming out of your feeling. That's you being your best and not just doing good. So you turn up and everybody face sour and you smiling and cracking on. I'm not saying that you're not going to have tough days. I'm not saying you're going to have days when you, to be honest, just wish that you could, you know what I mean? We all got to experience those because growth covers the whole of you. And if you're serious about it and consistent at it, then I got some news for you. You must go through that. It's a must. When you get to a stage that certain things just bounce off of you, not because you ignore it, but because you have dealt with that, then there's another level mental growth that's happening because your focus is just so very much attractive and magnetic to positivity and growth that the negativity, when it comes to be honest, just drops off like water from a duck's back. All these fancy terms and word I'm using just stems from the fact that simply 10, 15 minutes ago, you decided as you were listening to me that you are not going to stay the same place you are. I'm not going to be stuck in my feelings. I'm going to get up and make a move. I don't know what my real purpose is, but for now, I'm going to get started on something. I'm going to be consistent at it so that I can grow. I'm going to do my best and not just good. And I'm going to make sure that I'm so effective in doing it by being my best. Now, that is a good start to how you spend your life because just in 15 minutes, we have moved from spending it on nothing much to seeing some tangible results. If you disagree, raise your hand. I'll have a sip of water. I invite my buddies um, to think a little bit on how do you think you're spending your life so far? Are you being effective? There's always room for growth. There's always room for more. But it's just a tickler question to see, are we focusing more on feelings or are we just making that decision? I'm going to stay consistent. I'm going to stay at this thing. But while I stay at it, I'm staying working and not staying working, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you're not doing the same thing all the time, expecting different results, but you're moving forward, coming from a different angle.
Right. Right, absolutely.
Kendrick,
What,
to those,
what an opening. Thank you so much, Mr. Richie. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It's a little low, but I think I can
Okay.
hear you.
Okay. A little bit low on energy, but I will. I cannot keep quiet after hearing this. You know, it's very insane. hearing this perspective. And personally, I talk about this illusion that we continue to live in our lives. And, you know, things like time is there, you can always do it, um, knowing what you can do, but you don't really do it because nobody else knows that you can do that thing, and then you get away with it, and you continue to just go. You know, when you hear all the negative conversations around how difficult things are, how we're trying to scrape by and just push along, you gently join in that conversation, because that's how life is. That's how the world is rolling. So very, very comfortable place. But deep inside all of us, we know that there is that little thing that we are scared of trying, and we don't do it. But we fancy the other side of, you know, moaning and complaining about things and so on. Um, and you think about, if you think about this, uh, we tend to forget what has happened in the past, because we tend to change our personalities from what used to be to what is now. It's difficult sometimes when you look at some of the things that you've achieved in the past, some of the hardships that you've overcome in the past, and suddenly, because you've gone past that, you're now thinking in another way. You don't even try to fit yourself into that similar position again, because, you know, you don't really see yourself there. And you just wonder why. You know, there's a place God was saying, forgotten the scripture. He said to the children of Israel, if you will not remember how I brought you out of the land of Egypt into the good land. He said, I will curse your bread and I will curse your water. And it's just a very powerful scripture, because it just reminds us of all those things. It's not just about deliverance, it's about things that have changed in our lives, how we have grown from where we used to be to where we are right now, and not remembering how God has lifted us from that place to here. Is about facing a similar situation today, or something that looks like it, or something that's even bigger than it. But you've forgotten that, you know, in the past, I have actually been seen through just because I stood up and I made an effort to walk in a direction that has led to the growth I have now. So that's it's amazing. And, you know, once what can I say? Once every month, we all need to be reminded that, because that's the source of growth. Unfortunately, it's not very glamorous, but if you don't move, nothing happens. God will bless the works of our hands, not the minutes that we've sat down and thought and meditation. Even when the psalmist was praying about may the thoughts of our hearts and the meditations of our mind, he said, may it be acceptable unto you, O Lord. He didn't say, may you bless it so that it becomes the source of wealth or the source of breakthrough or the source of whatever. But what he will bless is the works of our hands. And we don't walk by being where we are. And the good thing with where we are with Christianity is we're now giving the Holy Spirit, number one, to help us. But there is the faith side of it, because that's the only reason why we can even move in certain situations. Because with faith in a hopeless situation, you can actually get up and say, you know what? I'm going to believe that God will see me somewhere in this situation. Therefore, I'm going to start this journey and I'll start moving. And I cannot begin to tell you how many times I've dared to do this. And right in the corner, when you were expecting that this now is failure, in fact, you are also laughing at yourself. You know, sometimes we're worried when people laugh at us. There's a certain stage you get to, and it will be you've been joining those people laughing at you and saying, oh my goodness, man, this just stop, you know, just stop and turn back. And at those stages, you see that God comes in, turns things around. But and I think the prayer is about that consistency, about that continuous remembrance that there is power, there is victory in fighting a war. And you don't fight a war by sitting down. You fight a war by taking action, by getting up, taking the steps. You fight a war by committing to failure, because you will fail in the course of fighting for anything, getting anything. You're going to fall. I mean, look at kids. They want to walk, they fall. They learn to ride a bike, they fall. They learn to climb the tree, they fall. Some break their legs, but guess what? Once that leg is fixed, they have to go and start learning again to climb the same tree, and they don't give up. But once we become adults, we get distracted. We forget that nothing will work if we don't work. That whatever it is that we think is impossible for us is because of the way that we set our minds. But if we have a good plan, go out there, work for it. The worst case scenario, you fail, but you will learn, and that is the growth that we're talking about. Because I'm beginning to learn that the way our wisdom as human beings, the way it works, is not the way God works. And if you don't recognize that, then you will not see the magic in some of the things that we do that we call failure. We say, oh, this one just, I can't even believe I got involved in this, and so on and so forth. But there is the other side of it, the things you have learned, the things that will never again happen in your life. All that's the positive, and that's the way we grow. Pulling those things out and continuing to go and not be discouraged. Because, for me personally, that's one thing that really, really challenges me. You put in your best effort, it doesn't work. What do I do now? Do I continue to push in that direction? What if I lose more money? What if I lose more time? What if I lose my reputation because of going in that direction? But, what is your chance of winning a battle when you're not willing to go and fight? It's zero. And before you know it, 2022 becomes zero, like 2021, like 2020, and 2024 is waiting to become zero. But if we push forward with this belief that in life we have a certain number of battles, a certain number of failures that we must achieve before we hit the goal port. If we don't commit to that, knowing fully well that even though this one fails, it is also one step towards my growth. It is one step in the right direction of my growth. There may be nothing in this for me. Maybe the most of it will be maybe lessons. Sometimes there won't be anything to learn, but it's just a step that takes you towards the direction you want to go in life. So thank you so much for sharing this perspective. It's really awakening, especially at this stage in my life. I think I need to begin to look at the things I've been trying to do, because sometimes you get things get delayed, or you delay things, not because it's not possible to start now, but because there is that doubt in your mind to say, are you sure I really want to do this? I think I'm better off not really talking to people about it, so that nobody bothers me about starting it. So let me just stay where I am, and you continue to be where you are. You're dying in the misery of the fact that we all know that we are not living out our greatness, that we can do exceedingly abundantly beyond every of our imagination, because that's how the God we serve is. Thank you.
Good, good, good. Guys, can you hear me? Yeah. No, there was a feedback just now, so I was wondering if it's me. Now, Chidozi, that is really good, mate, because you mentioned something about you mentioned faith, you mentioned perspective and stuff that people see themselves, and it's interesting you mentioned that, because something so important to this whole approach is going to be, one, don't walk into this thinking that you're gonna this thing called life. If you're gonna do life and you're gonna get up today and say, you know what, look, I want to enjoy life, I want to go forward, that's great. Stop trying to anticipate the next step. Stop trying to anticipate tomorrow. You can speak to tomorrow, but you cannot tell tomorrow how it must behave. God promised you now, okay? So let's just work with what we have. Stop trying to, you know, you want to start a business. Don't tell me that you need an office, you need a bank loan, you need a car, you need a Parker pen. You don't need that. Okay. Right? Don't tell me that um, do you know that there are people who do e-commerce business and don't have a website? Yeah. Interesting. Do you know that there are people who have driving schools but don't even have a car themselves? Let me ask you a question. When your parents or you decided to have a degree, did you go to the university and get the professor first and the degree before you actually had the degree? No. Did you have moments when you were studying at university that you absolutely felt, you know what, I am convinced this, I'm being tricked. This can't be real because I get up, I go in there. They're teaching me things that I'm never going to use this. Listen, read my lips. I'm never going to use this. This teacher, he is dumb. 10 years into your career, a reference to a particular formula comes straight back. And you're probably thinking, oh shoot, what's this thing again? I read this. Listen, he taught me this. It was 9:35 in the morning. I was late, and he had this up on the board, and he picked up. I remember, but this is one thing. So I'm trying to show you that all you need to do, speak to yourself. Faith without actions is useless. Talking about your life and speaking to your life as a Christian and not doing anything is a sin. Yeah, it's worse than the man who plans and works very hard on how he's going to steal your car and he come and steal it. Because it is wrong stealing, but that man fulfilled what he set out to do. And you are pining away about how horrible he is, but he has been working on the wrong thing, of course. But what about you? So stop worrying about, you know, buddy, I don't like John. John, that don't even start, mate. He just. But hold on, let's look at you. You're doing anything regarding yourself? Because John is a contractor, and he's having roof after roof repairing, and people are happy. But because John don't come to church on Saturdays or Sundays like you don't like John. The man is working on his thing. You get down to yours. Make a decision today. You can do this. My brother Kendrick.
Wow, what an amazing insight! Thank you so much, sir, for bringing that up. Um, Usually, you always take it to another level. So this is truly challenging. It is, isn't it? I specifically like the title. It says that God's purpose, it is the key to our fulfillment. And I think it's. Can you guys hear me nicely? Yeah,
I can hear you. Yeah.
yeah. And I think it always comes down to whether we are at a place where, with everything that we do on a day-to-day basis, are we moving closer to what we are called to do? Um, and I think the perspective that I want to put out there is, I believe us walking out our purpose, that's a journey in itself. And you always will hear that, when somebody said that I don't know my purpose. But I think our purpose always evolved as we continue to do what is in front of us. I like what I think both of you did mention. It's about taking action. It's about it's like doing what you know what to do right now, and not waiting for everything to be perfect. Because when you wait for things to be perfect, the truth of the matter is things are never perfect. it's kind of like make me think back to a time when my missus was telling me, listen, yeah, I want another child, man. I said, no, listen, we need to kind of like, we have to get this thing sorted out, let's get the house, let's get this kind of car first, listen, yeah, anytime is baby time. because as soon as you think, all right, let's get this sorted out first, and there's something else coming up.
Yeah.
uh, and I think most probably the if this is how I see it. If we really want to see results quickly, it's like just move on where we are right now, and just go with what is. It's like um, the story of the woman with that said that I only have like a little bit of oil in my house. That's all I've got. And even the way she said it was like it was insignificant,
Mm.
but it is that little thing that you and I have.
Yes.
And listen, what she was instructed to do: go and borrow, because
Mm.
one of the keys of us even be able to accelerate our progress is we won't even need to use our own time, our own equipment, our own tools, our own expertise. Why? Because what will happen is as soon as we start to move, things will just start opening up, because it's only in moving. Because if I kind of like, oh, what's the purpose? Kind of what is the next move? But if we just move on whatever that's there and then, that's when you kind of like things will start to clear. Things will start to make sense. Then you'll get instructions for the next step. So amazing topic, sir. Just amazing. And there's something that you also mentioned. You said about doing your best. And I think if we always strive to do our best, sometimes our best is not enough. But when you always push towards doing your best, and you realize, oh my goodness, I've given my best, but my best did not even get the job done. Now, what does that do? It pushes us to grow. It pushes us to be stretched, because you realize, okay, I'm not enough right now, but thank God I'm surrounded by people that can stretch me. Thank God I'm surrounded by people that can speak into my life and push me towards becoming that best, so that when I contribute, I am truly giving my best. Because sometimes, just think about it, sometimes we really give everything we've got, but it's not sufficient. It's not enough. But it's a good place to be, because then you know that I need to continue to step up. I need to continue to improve. And you also mentioned something about being effective, because what seems to be effective to me will not be effective in your eyes.
Mm.
Uh, so I think it's a matter of perspective. Uh, but talking about bringing the point of being effective and giving our best, if you have to bring those two together, and you do your whatever it is that you do, and you're truly doing it with a pure heart, I believe that we will see results. We will see results, and you kind of like will continue to walk in and see a much more clearer picture to your purpose.
I, I really love that one. There's a couple of things that's come to mind that I'm going to share. For example, um, again, I am such a believer that everything has all been prepared for you here on earth before your arrival, and you've got to step to it. It's not going to drop on a plate. And here, let me give you so many examples of his whole set there. So, um, uh, very few times you'll see this happening, but that's to me, I think that is God's love just overflowing. Um, for example, a monkey is in a particular set area. He needs to eat, but he's got to move. He's got to go and do his thing. Yeah. Very rare he might be on that tree and the fruit just falls and knock on his head, and he's like, "Oh, mango! Oh, love it, loves it." Okay, let's go to this thing of a kid. Yeah. Before the kid is born, you're planning all these things. You even bought the piano and the child is just 2 months old. You see? Now, when you talk about effectiveness, best, perspective, here's an example I'm going to use the piano and tell you about. At 2 months old, he don't even understand what a piano is. He just see a thing and it press and it makes sound. He didn't even know he could press it. He just observes. Yeah. So he's curious. So he goes ahead and he's doing one thing that all of us should do. He's using a can-do attitude. He's seeing everything from a perspective that I can do this. He doesn't know the how. He doesn't know the when. Every chance he gets, he's going to do it. Yeah, check out a baby. If they want something, every chance they get, they're going to go after it. Check out a kid like my son right now. They're asking the same thing over and over. And you just said it 5 times. What did you say, Daddy? I'm not repeating myself. I just told you before. Yeah. He says to me, he puts on my watch and he says to me, Daddy, I want to watch. Dude, you don't need a watch at this point. You already had so many. I'm going to get you another one at a later stage. He comes back again. His mind is fixated on that watch. He's told himself, I can do this and I'm going to get that watch. And he can get pissed off with me. I'm going to be quiet, but I'm going to ask him again. He's doing it. So let me come to you now. So you want to be a coder. Yeah? You know, to be a coder, you need a computer. But if you use a can-do attitude, you might have somebody's older machine. You can go to the library. You might even find out a question. You might even find out some stuff. You might even find that a colleague may say to you, come and sit with me for half an hour every day after my work time. I'll teach you some stuff. You might even, there's so many things you can find and see and experience. And as you begin to do these things bit by bit, your level of best increases because you get better and better at your best. Yeah. And then you become more effective and more effective because all of a sudden you've moved from somebody who just had basic primary and secondary school education. You've now moved to somebody who had a degree. Then suddenly you move to somebody who the university wants to have as a part-time teacher. Then all of a sudden you've moved to somebody who, because you said, I just want to do this, I can do this. But here's the deal. It's not as you move, God moves. God already moved. As you move, you come closer to what God put in place for you. That's why your moving is so important. You see what I mean? If you don't move, it always looks impossible. Here's another question. All of us can relate to this on this thing right now. All of us are married here. So you spot this woman you like. If you then make the moves and show her that you're interested and really talk to her and keep moving, you would not get to that marriage day. Somebody else would have been marrying that woman. And you would have been sitting down on the side sulking and talking about the guy. But you made it clear. You made that move. You talked to her. Yeah. You want a house. Well, so you call up the bank, but you never look for the house. But the house must come to you. No, you got a can-do attitude. You go to it, and you keep going after it, and you keep going after. And in your going after it, guess what? There's a lot of things that's happening here. You are getting close to it mentally, closer and closer and closer. You're actually in it, experiencing it before you have it, whatever it is. And that's how powerful you are as a human with life inside of you. So I urge all of us today, don't worry about the feelings. The feelings will tell you you've got a headache. But I guarantee you, if you play the lottery and you won, I'm not saying do that, and you get the call now, let's say you got a migraine, and the lottery people call you now and say you won. you would forget you had a, I got you, somebody may have to remind you, is the headache okay? You say, what? Did I have a headache? Right? Guys, I love you so much, and I know that you can do this. And we all are going to make sure every single day, make this promise to yourself, no matter what it is. I can do this. Yes, the headache is gone. Somebody on Facebook said the headache is gone. It is it is wonderful when you begin to see how important and how exciting this walk of life can be. I urge you, keep going, keep doing it. You can do this. Kendrick,
Wow, wow. So my headache instantly disappeared also.
Yeah, mine is gone as well.
Oh
It's
man,
work to
I'm
do that.
telling you, I'm telling you. Oh, what an amazing session.
Yeah.
And I think the way just the way that you brought it out, and I think a lot of the responsibility lies on us because it's easy for us to kind of like get to a place where we make excuses, uh, and we feel like not everything is in place for us to be able to move. Because the most important thing that you and I can do is, especially when we become purpose minded, is just move because it's easier to steer a car in motion in the right direction compared to steering a car that is stationary in the right direction. How are you going to put it? How are you going to make it go in the right direction if it's not even just start driving a dog on car, man, and just see it.
exactly.
Yeah, the chances are that you might just end up in Manchester if that's where you're supposed to be. So thank you so much for bringing that up. So much appreciated, and we're looking forward, to the follow-up sessions on the same topic over
I
the
want
next.
to leave with you before we go seven points that you may find
Okay.
quite interesting.
Yeah.
We got a couple of minutes left, so I'll be very
Yeah.
quick. I'll just list them. I'm ask you a couple of questions first, then I'll leave with you the 7 points.
Yeah.
I'm
Sure.
gonna say, right. So, how old are you? Your age don't matter. Just think on it. Are you still questioning what you are about? Again, that question is, are you still questioning what you are about? Are you still wondering what kind of business your father is in and which part you are playing in the company? And I'm not talking about your earthly father, I'm talking about your heavenly father. Are you still changing your major in life every 3 years? Is your thought pattern around how you think that you want to achieve, do you find that ever changing? Do you find you cannot graduate from God's preparatory, so in terms of preparatory school into God's work world? Are you 50 years old and still looking for a job transfer? And those questions are centered around, are you asking a million and one questions before you can make a move? And are you still stuck after answering those questions? Well, here's a bit of insight I want to give you across 7 things, which we will cover these in the next session. Remember, God is a God of purpose, number one. Number two, God created everything with a purpose. Number three, not every purpose is known to us because we have lost our understanding of God's original intent for us. Number four, what purpose, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. I'm going to repeat that one. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Number five, to discover the purpose of something, never ask the creation, ask the creator. I repeat that one. To discover the purpose of something, never ask the creation, ask the creator. So don't ask your foot why is so lazy to get up and make a move, or ask your hand why you're not working today. Ask yourself that question. Okay. We find our purpose only in the mind of our maker. Take time to spend with God. God's purpose is the key to our fulfillment. Remember, if you begin to act and be purpose and be purpose oriented and focus and be consistent, it brings you into a state of being purposeful and effective. That's it until the next session.
Wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Ritchie.
You're
Thanks.
welcome, sir.
Thanks,
Awesome,
Ken.
awesome stuff, awesome
It's been
stuff.
an
Thank you so much.
amazing, yeah, amazing session. Thank you so much. That's very highly awakening. I'm hoping that the fire will start burning now. Let's crack some nuts here and there and just get going. It's too much potential that's being settled here every week. And I'm very sick of it now. Just because of this bomb that's been dropped. So let's see how this one fires us up in the next week. Yes, let's hope we have something to talk about that we've done. You know, even if you're just walking on M1 towards London, just on that's something. That's something. You know, I'm just saying, let's do something. You know,
Yeah,
something.
yes. The way forward. Kendrick?
Yeah.
Yes, I think you've pretty much wrapped it up nicely. I like those 7 points that you brought up, and I'm looking forward for us to kind of like just to dig deeper in there. Mr. Rabi said, great session.
Thank you,
So
sir.
thank
Thank
you so
you.
much for jumping on. It's good to have you, sir. So yeah, so let's do this again next week, and I think the takeaway, as I mentioned earlier, for me is just move. That's it.
Yes.
Just move, because I believe each and every one of us have an instruction already. Don't wait for the next instruction. Let's move. We just do the one that you've already sitting on for the past. Who knows? It might be 2 months, 3 years. I don't know. Each and every one of us know. So yeah. But thank you so much for bringing that up, sir. And I believe each and every one of us has something that we has got something that we took away from the session. So all right, gentlemen,
All right.
let's do this again next
Thank
week.
you so
Thank you
much.
for your time.
God bless you.
See
All
you.
right,
Good
Take
night.
care.
all
All
right.
right
Thank
then.
you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye bye.